Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video what we're going to talk about is how to actually edit a YouTube video with a QuickTime Player. That's what you want to do. That's what we're going to get into. So before we actually do that, you want to make sure that you do subscribe to my channel. Also, hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time I put out a new video. I talk about making money with YouTube and social media. So if you're interested in that, make sure you do that. And also more about YouTube, which is like this video. I'll actually make a full playlist of that very soon. So make sure you check that out. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. So when you first get into iMovie, when you first open it, you'll end up with something like this, obviously in English, but don't worry if you're speaking English because it's not going to change very much at all. So you'll end up with something like this with, you might not have all of these because these are all my previous videos. And this is, the first video I filmed which I didn't like, so I'm refilming it because I want to have a proper video. So if you want to make a new video, a new YouTube video, you've already filmed it, and if you're wondering how to film it, make sure you leave a comment and I'll show you how to film yourself if you're interested in that. So you've filmed your video. Now what you want to do is you want to create it. So click on the plus sign here and you want to create a film, a new movie, whatever it is. It's the first one right there. So you click on that. And then you want to go to my film, whatever the number is. For me, it's 377, but, whatever it may be. So then you want to import your medias. So that's what we're going to do. You just click on that, on the arrow. And I'm going to take this one for an example. This is a previous video that I've already filmed. So you want to import it. So if you filmed your video in several different pieces, say you filmed your intro first, then you filmed the main part, then the outro, or all these different things, you want to make sure that you import all the medias right at the beginning, because otherwise it's going to be very hard to keep going. So make sure you do that. So what we're going to do next is import a YouTube subscribe button, because as you saw at the beginning of this video, I had a subscribe button. So here it is, so subscribe. So you want to have all your different things. If you don't have a subscribe button like that, you can find it on the internet. It's no big deal. There's different places to find that. You can download it for free, and it's no big deal. So now that you've got everything that's in front of you, that you've got everything that you want, what you do is you're going to drag it down here. And that's the main part. If you have a second one, you can put it behind, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do with that is actually click on the volume and put it to 0, because I don't want to hear anything. So that's something that you might want to play around with, is if your volume is too high or too low, you can play around with this and get up to 400% or 0. So make sure you don't put it too loud, because if you put it too loud, it's going to saturate. But you get the idea. So then what this video is 19 minutes, more than 19 minutes long. So you don't want it to be that small, because if you have it that small, it's going to be very hard to edit. So what you have instead is you have this little arrow right there, and you can click right here. That's usually kind of where I put it. You can have it way bigger or way smaller, but I like to have it here because it's just simpler for me to edit. You can see the spikes in the audio if I put it back. You know, there's all these spikes in the audio where you can, you know, if you clap at one point because you want to insert something or whatever it may be, you can do that. So I'm going to put it right back to 0. So if you play the video and you know this, at some point there's something that you want to cut, to edit, to anything, you want to put it on pause, and then you want to right click, and then it's going to have all these options, and the one that you want to have is this one. So it's the 5th one, it's just under that line there. I don't know what it's in English because, you know, my computer's in French, but this is what you want to do. This is the one that you want to click on, and this one is going to be used a lot. So make sure you remember this one, or go back to this point in this video, whatever. This is the one that's the most important. So you click on that, and it's just going to cut it, but it's not, if you just play it, it's just going to continue as normal. But if you want to delete some part, for example, I'm going to click right here and do the same thing again, and this one is selected, so I can just backspace and then it disappears. So if I want to focus on my face, for example, for a longer period of time, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So you do want to realize that if it's not selected, which I just did right here, it doesn't show up. You can't click on it. So if you have that, you just have to go back, click on the section that you're interested in, and then click right back and it will be available. So then you have that, and you say you want to focus on your face. You're saying something that's really important and you want to have it show up, you know, have a closer look. So what you do is you select the part that you want, then click on that little square right here, and you want to have it to, let's see, so you want to have it in the middle right here. And what you can do is you just take the borders and make it smaller. And then you can have it on your face, maybe a little bit bigger. So this section is going to be a lot closer. So you just hit enter and it will be like that. So if I play the video, obviously there's no audio. If there was, you would be able to hear your audio. But then it's a closer up look at that section because it's something important, and you'll see me do this in various videos and different YouTubers and stuff like that. This is how you do it. So the next thing that I do want to show you is how to actually have some audio, because some YouTube videos, you know, I don't really have very much music. I just have my own voice. But if you do have something like that, then, you know, where you need some music, then you can do that. So if you have, make sure that you're using copyright music. But if you're using iMovie, obviously you have a Mac or, you know, an iPhone or something, you can go to your library, and I'm pretty sure iPhone is a little different, so, you know, we could do an edit on that as well. But, you know, you click on audio and then you have all your tunes and stuff like that. And I think that this one is copyright. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it and hit, you know, you can put it anywhere. I'm just going to put it right at the beginning. And maybe you want to have it fade away at some point and cut, because this, you know, it's 3 minutes long. Maybe you only want it 1 minute or whatever. So you click on that, right click, same thing as the video, so same option, and then it's cut. So then you click on the second part, backspace, that deletes it, and then you only have 38.6 seconds. You can have it longer, shorter, whatever it is. That just happens to be the case in this one. And then as you can see, there's 2 dots, one that's right here, and when I approach it, it kind of disappears somehow. And there's another one right there. So these two things are to fade in and fade out of the audio, because you don't want to have, you know, one quick hit, or you might have to in some cases, but most of the time you want to, you know, have something fade out. So what you do is you just take this little round circle thing, and you drag it to however long you want. You can have it really long or really short. So for example, I'm going to put it here. So if I hit play, the audio just kind of drops off right there. So it's really the same thing if you wanted to have the intro fade in and then you have it fade out at the end. So that's, you know, something quick with the audio, you know, it's just the way it is. So anyway, now I have this, and maybe I want to have a picture. So I'll have, you know, I didn't import a picture, but you can do it later on. If you forgot something like I just did right here, I'll just find some sort of picture. So there you go, that's my dog. He's a little bit bigger, still a puppy. If you have some sort of, you know, of animal at your, just let me know. I'll be really interested, because as you know, everyone that has a dog or anything like that, they want, you know, they want to know everything about other people's dogs and cats. So if you have a dog or a cat or a snake or whatever, let me know in the comments. I'll be glad to hear about that. So anyway, I wasn't here to talk about pets. I wanted to do something a little different. So you click back here, and I want to cut it again, and I want to insert a picture here. So my dog is here, and if I insert it and I just click, you know, the picture, and I click play, it's just going to show very funny, just like this. And that's because it's in portrait, so it's probably the worst picture to put in the video. Don't do that. That's just for the example, and it's actually a good example, because you'll actually, you know, be able to see a bit better, you know, what's going on. But you know, it'll move around. Just by default, it'll move around. But sometimes you don't want it to move around. So what you do instead is you click on it, and you do the same thing. So you click on that, and then you can sort of, you know, move it around. Say you want the beginning here, the end here, and it's going to move a lot faster, but most of the time that's not what you want. So instead, what you want to do is do this. You do the middle one, and you spread it apart, and then it's going to look a lot better. And you know, you can play around with these, but that's, you know, it's a still image. That's what you might want to have. Obviously, you can play around, you know, with different ones, you know, to adapt and stuff like that. That's just how it works. There's a few different options out here that, you know, you don't really use very much. Well, I don't, at least, but you can have it, you know, you can have your image go faster, slower, and still, and you can play around with these. But basically, if you're doing, you know, talking in front of camera type of videos like I'm doing, and like most people are doing, most of the time you won't need any of these, but that's just how it is. This, however, is something that you might want to have, which I've used in the past. You know, if you're filming in somewhere where it's a bit dark, not too dark, because otherwise you won't be able to make any of it, you know, to do anything. But you can play around with these and make it lighter, so that's how it looks like, or maybe make it darker if it's too, you know, too much. For me, I usually leave it here, but sometimes if I film and it's too dark, this is how it works. And then you can have it, you know, have the colors, you know, make it hotter and colder and stuff like that, or warmer, I should say. And that's just another one where you play around as well, and it's kind of, you know, different options where you can play around with the lighting, with the heat of the colors and stuff like that. That you might want to use, you know, sometime. So the other things that you do have is transitions, I don't use any of them, but you can, you can just insert them like this, and it'll give you some sort of transition. To be honest, I don't use them at all, but this is what it's going to look like. Now it's, when you play it with that, sometimes it freezes like that. It's not going to do that when you're on YouTube. So once you've done that, the other thing that you might want to use is this, titles. So if you have a good title and it's a picture, you can just insert a picture and that just works great. I usually use this one because I like to use it as a subscribe sort of thing. So it's the same thing. What you want to do is go right at the end, and I'm going to move my face up right here, and then what you do is you drag it down here, which for some reason didn't happen at the beginning, and then you can make it longer or shorter. So if I double click on it, this is what it's going to look like, and you want to make sure that you change your title. So for example, this is what I usually put in there, and then you make sure you want to double check. You might want to click twice on enter, or hit enter twice, because otherwise it won't change your title and it will just say title or something. So make sure it looks like this when you hit it a second time, and then you can have it longer or shorter depending on what you want. So I'll leave it at that. This video is already edited, so that's why it's kind of all over the place. It's just to show you the options that you want to have. So the next thing that you want to do is, to put it out on YouTube, because if you have a YouTube, then that's what it's going to look like. So you put it out here, and again, I've got my face in the way. But if you put it out here, there's tons of options. So there's two things that you can do. One thing is you can put it straight up on YouTube. Good idea. I've done that a ton, and I'm actually going to change for a reason. And the reason I'm going to change is because I want to change the tags of the video, because that might help in the Google, in the YouTube algorithm, because I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. So if you're, if you want to see more, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, because that's what I want to do, and make sure you watch all the videos till the end and everything like that, because that's what I want to do. Anyway, so you can hit YouTube, and if you do that, it takes a while for some reason, but you change the title here, the description, the keywords and all that, but you can also do that on YouTube. And you want to make sure that it's on private, because you don't want to have your video go live when you don't have a thumbnail or anything like that. So make sure you put it on private, and all these different things you can change. I think the category, you might not be able to change it, but if you put it like that, it'll be by default. If you change it once, basically, that's what I mean. So then you do that, you hit next, and then you choose your channel. It's really easy to figure out. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is to hit this. So it's, whatever it is in English. And so you click on that, and then it's just going to save it to your desktop or whatever it is by default. And, that's where it goes. So that's another way of doing it. That's something that I'm going to start doing from now on, which I haven't done before. Well, I've done it once or twice, but I'm going to do it consistently now. So that's just the same thing. You just change all these, or whatever you want to have, the resolution, the format, and all that, and the title, and then you hit next, and it's just the same, which I'm not going to do with this one, because this video is edited in the worst way possible, because I didn't check what I was editing, and it's putting different pictures of my dog for for no reason at all. Anyway, this was my video for today, so I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure that you absolutely smash that subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell so that way you get notified every single time I put a video out, which is every single week. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.